Hi, thanks so much for joining me for what is my 13th episode of Two Ways Tuesdays. I'm Danny from the Glittered Rose. This installment of Two Ways Tuesdays, I'm taking a look at the gorgeous set by Tim Holtz for Stampers Anonymous, Mr. Rabbit. When I saw this set, I knew I had to have it. I just think that the rabbit is just so beautiful. I think the illustration is really, really lovely. So I had to grab it. You'll need to excuse my voice. I've currently got another cold and it's been a week and I'm still not well. So I can't put off my Two Ways Tuesdays any longer. I need to get it done. So please just ignore it. Sick or not, it's been a very exciting time. I've hit over 1,000 subscribers. So I want to say welcome to all my new subscribers. And to the older ones, it's wonderful to have you here. It's really fantastic that, you know, people are watching when I pop up. I hope you can get some inspiration from my videos. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. And I'm using the Distress watercolor cardstock by Ranger. It has a lovely smooth side and a rougher side. So I'm using the smoother side and I'm just popping Mr. Rabbit into my Misty to ink him up. I'm going to use VersaFine so I get a lovely clear crisp impression and it dries fairly quickly as well. Let me know down below if you've been stamping for a while and you remember the days where everything was, well, first wood mounted and then unmounted plates and you used to cut them up yourself. I miss that red rubber smell. You used to be able to smell them in the packages when they'd come, and oh, that was so much fun. The great thing about the plates were that they were all themed, so you'd have, like matching stamps. But the cards that I used to make back then were more. They were different. They were sort of collagey cards, and I'm going to do that sort of thing today, I think, as a homage to the olden days. Not many companies that do the red rubber anymore. They're all the photopolymer, and well, they're good, but I personally, to me, there's nothing quite like the beautiful red, deeply etched red rubber. They just stamp so beautifully. All right, Mr. Rabbit looks pretty good. I'm going to whip out my masking bits and bobs. Okay, so I've got two options to mask. I have a jar of masking fluid, and I've also got this pen, which is new. This is called Molotow, and it's a pump pen, and I've just got to get the fluid to the tip. I'm not sure how the pen will go covering up a big area. I think it'll be fantastic for smaller images. I'm just not sure with him, but we'll start with this one and see how we go. Goes on nice and smoothly. So I'm just running over Mr. Rabbit, the areas that I don't want colour through the background. I'm doing quite a wet background, otherwise I could have stamped another replica of him onto copy paper, cut him out and popped him on top. But I was a bit worried because the background that I'm going to do is going to be quite wet, so I thought, it'll probably leak through. So these masking fluids are waterproof, so once they set, they should be okay. I'm going to switch to my jar because I think a paintbrush will be a little bit easier. This stuff's white, Just be careful of the masking fluid that you do get. I have gotten some and it's been so thick that it won't paint on, but this one's really nice. This one's an Art Spectrum one. A bit more expensive, but gee, it's worth the extra cost. I'll do the rest off camera and I'll be back. Okay, so he's nice and dry, giving him a touch. I've popped some printer or copy paper underneath him and I'm just spraying him with water now. And I'm going to use my new Lavinia Dinkles. This one's in amber. It's got a little hole in the top that I popped in. And I'm just sprinkling that around. I love these. I'm a bit obsessed. um, I thought that Mr. Rabbit would look great in front of some dinkles, so that's the plan. This one's pine green, which is such a lovely colour. It's a real natural, earthy kind of green, if you know what I mean. The last colour, I think I'll use mustard seed. I think that they'll all go quite nicely together. And I think when the amber melts, it doesn't look so bright orange, it looks more amber. So I think that they'll be a really good choice. It's funny, his masking fluid keeps catching my eye, thinking, gee, I put a lot of blue on. But I haven't. It's just the masking fluid. Okay, so now comes the fun bit, and I'm going to melt them with some water or dissolve them. So I just love how they sort of swirl amongst each other and give it that sort of organic look. I think I need something else, so I'm going to add in some Payne's Grey just to sort of bring those colours back a little bit. So the good thing is that they go on wet, or you can do them dry and then wet them. They are a lot of fun to play with. They're like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to end up with at the end. So I'm just tapping off some of the water and I'm going to grab some paper towel just to mop up the pooled areas on the sides. But the good thing is that there's lots of excess water on that paper that, if you splot off too much, you can always retap it just to introduce a bit more colour. But I think that's looking pretty nice. My fingers look not so nice. But that's the joys of things like mixed media. I really like that. You know, really getting into your craft, getting dirty with it. Well, that's looking pretty nice. So I'm going to dry it off now. One thing to be mindful of is when you've used masking fluid, not to get that too hot because it then constricts and it's very hard to get off the paper. So just use a cool shot on your heat gun and you should be good. Okay, so I've peeled off the mask and it's looking pretty good. There are a couple of patches up on the ear where I think I didn't mask properly and some of the colour's gone through, but that doesn't really matter to me. It still looks pretty nice. I'm just using some watercolour pencils just to colour in him. Thanks, Mum, for the watercolour pencils. They came in really handy. So I'm just doing it really rough because I'll just go over it with a water brush just to sort of smooth it out. It also makes the colour a little bit more vibrant when you go over with water. But I'm not worrying too much. He's so sketchy that it doesn't leave room for perfect, highlighted colouring. Just a little bit of colour looks nice. Alright, you don't need to see me pop a wash over him, so I might do this off camera and I'll be back. Okay, so now I'm randomly stamping and just popping some dots in the background, and I will emboss those just to add a little bit of extra texture. So I'm just using my stamp block and randomly stamping. It's a bit hard because I can't see where I've stamped, but it doesn't matter because I want it really random, just here and there, and then I'm going to emboss it. Well, here I am with the correct white embossing powder. I grabbed out my clear embossing powder and started to pour it on, and just as I was pouring, I realized, no, I don't want clear, I want white. Clear won't show up. So I'll cut that out of the video and, yep, we'll just do the white. Okay, so it's all looking pretty nice to me now, but I think I need to do something to make Bunny stand out from the background. So I'm just going over with my white paint pen and just highlighting it around him, just so that he stands out a little bit. I thought about using my gel pen, but I think it might be a bit bright. I realize that this card is a little different to what I usually make. I think my past videos have been more structured or more traditional sort of card making techniques, but I also really enjoy mixed media type techniques. I find them really relaxing but also very rewarding. I find that you go more with your heart than your head when you're making something with mixed media. It's free, sort of more freeing because there's not all the different layers and the structure that usually goes into a card. But I find it really, really rewarding. If you're more into the traditional cards, maybe, you know, giving mixed media might a try might be fun and something different for you. Okay, so I wanted to pop a frame around him, but I didn't want anything too harsh. So I grabbed out my Rembrandt pastels and I'm going over with a dark green because I think that matches really lovely. And just edging the border, edging the sides, and then smudging it in more towards the middle. And I think that looks really lovely. These are such smooth, creamy chalks. They're just beautiful. I think that looks really nice and it sort of adds to the colours that are already there. I think it's looking pretty good. I think it needs something. So I'm going to grab out either a black or a very dark grey pastel just to run around the very edges and corner just to finish it. I think it just needs just that extra framing. Okay, sometimes I don't know when to leave it alone, so I think I'm going to call that done. I'm happy with that. And I think it needs a sentiment, so I might go into my stash of already stamped and better pressed sentiments. And maybe give my fingies a wash off because they're a little dirty, but that's a fun. I like it. Okay, I'm going to call it done. I've popped a better press sentiment on and popped him on an A2 card base, and I'm happy. So let's get into the next one. Okay, so for this card, I have already stamped him in Versifying Claire Pine Cone, and I've just re-stamped around his bow tie because I don't think I inked it up properly. So there he is, all stamped and perfect. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at that face. I just want to squeeze those cheeks. Okay, I'm going to fussy cut him out. I'm not going to worry about those whiskers. I might draw them on later, but I can't cut around those, so I'll chop them off. Okay, so starting on the background, I'm going to use my Distress Oxides. I am using fossilized amber and I've just got to find it. Fossilized amber and kitsch flamingo. And I'm going to ink blend the background. I want it splotchy, so I want, areas of yellow and pink that blend together nicely. It will probably take me a little while to blend this, so I might fast forward this section. So as we all know, pink and yellow make orange, so I'm running with that, and I'm going to use the Summertime Versifying Clear for stamping. And I'm just using the included stamps in the set with Mr. Rabbit, just to add some texture into the background. And as these stamps already look a little bit worn, I don't have to worry too much about how well they're stamped, because it's already got that rustic kind of look. So I've decided I think I want some of the VersaFine Clear brown ink pad in the background, just to bring in the colour from Mr. Rabbit, just to tie it all in together. I've also done some stamping with Versamark, just for that watermark effect. It just adds a little bit of texture and interest in the background. You can't really see it on camera, but in person it looks really, really nice. I think that looks nice, just in varying amounts of that ink, some lighter, some darker. Oh, I like that. I think that looks really good now. I think adding the colour of the rabbit on the background ties everything in, and it makes it look like Mr. Rabbit just hasn't been glued there as an afterthought. I have a compulsion where whenever I use Distress Oxides, I have to do the water bleaching with flicking water onto the ink. I'm not sure why I have to do it. I love the look, but every time I use them, I do it. So anyway, so I'm just flicking some water onto the background and then patting off that water. Just bleaches some of the ink out and gives it a bit more texture, a bit more interest. Okay, so now it's time to ink blend the edges and the corners. It just needs to be framed. So I've grabbed my ink pad called Dough from Pink Fresh Studio. It's a nice sort of subtle colour, and I'm just going around the corners and the edges just to frame it, just so that it brings your eye into the centre of the card. Okay, that's looking pretty good, but I just want a little bit darker on the edges. So I've grabbed the gathered twigs from Pink Fresh Studio, and I'll just darken those edges just with the same method. Ooh, I like this. I think it's quite pretty. It's so smooth. Um, I'm going to color in Mr. Rabbit using the same method and the same watercolor pencils that I used before, and I'll do that off camera. So I've popped Mr. Rabbit on my card panel. I've also chosen my sentiment. It's a gold foiled sentiment, which I have aged by taking off some of that gold foil, so it's not so bright. Now I've decided I want to go around Mr. Rabbit with some pan pastel, just some brown pan pastel. My reasoning behind that is that I don't want him looking like he's just stuck on. I'd like to him to look like he's meant to be there. So by adding a bit of a shadow, it sort of grounds him and makes him look like he's there for a purpose, if you know what I mean. So I'm just smooshing in some pan pastel just between the two pieces of cardstock. I'm overlapping it on the rabbit so there's not that harsh line. And I think it looks quite good. Okay, I'm quite happy with how he looks. I think he looks more situated down better. He looks like he's meant to be there. And I'm gonna probably grab some of the pan pastel on my finger and just smoosh some into the edges. Pan pastel's lovely. It's so smooth, but it's also um opaque, so you can still um see through it. So it's not going to cover up anything. It's just going to highlight those darker edges. And so I'm just going to go over all four corners, and then I'm going to pop it on my card base. Okay, so my card is on the base and I've decided I want to tie in that gold thank you. So I've got my Deco color pen, which is gold metallic, and I'm just going to tap it using the masking fluid because it's quite heavy. Tap it to get some gold flecks or, spots. It's looking really nice. It's a little bit subtle, which I like, but it really does tie in that thank you. So it's a card all finished. I think you can see, I'm hoping that the camera picks up that gold shimmer. I think it's really sweet. And that's it finished. And here we are, both cards finished, and I have to say I'm really happy. I think my favorite is the one on the right. I think it's really sweet. Let me know down below which one you like the most. And again, if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much for sticking it out to the end. Till next time. Bye.